Everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Show Me How It's Done. I'm so excited to actually be live for you guys. I have missed you so much while I've been away on holidays, and I was just in Vegas and camping with my kids, but I am back this week and I'm so excited to actually be able to converse with you. So if you are watching from somewhere, please say hi. I'd love to see you. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. And I do hope you enjoy the episode as well. So what I have for you guys today is actually another little treat box. This is something that I took with me to Las Vegas for my Stampin' Leadership Conference. And you can put an adorable little tube of chapstick inside these boxes. These ones my lovely friend makes for me, and she doesn't wrap them so that I can put my own little paper decoration around them. So she makes all different scents. I think this one is peppermint. It's a good one. So anyways, this little box was one of my 3D swaps, and I want to show you how to make it. It's very, very simple. They're perfect because, of course, we're all starting to think about Christmas. Don't lie, I know you're doing it. And we probably need some little stocking stuffers, maybe some additions to our teachers' gifts. I know my son's, their schools often do a 12 days of Christmas for the teachers. So these are really fun for me to make, just small little treats. And then they kind of just give one out every day. And of course you can change up the paper and make them very masculine, because even guys use lipstick. Well, not lipstick all the time, usually chapstick, maybe lipstick. And, then they can enjoy this as well. So you could switch out from flowers to some of our fish paper or something like that. And, or even just some of the like bolder patterns. And these would be perfect for them as well. So let's get going. This is going to require a piece of cardstock to start with. Your cardstock will be 5 inches by 7 1/4. Then we're going to need to do a lot of scoring. Okay, so this is where the slow part is in actually making the box. It's all the scoring and trimming. So grab your scoreboards. On the side that is 5 inches long, so make sure this is on the 5 inches. We're going to do 4 score marks here, and I'm going to put my ugly little note paper for you just so that you can read it and take a screenshot. No, the camera doesn't want to focus on 2 things at once. But I will also have all of these measurements in the description on the video, so it's very easy for you to just get them nicely printed out. But while we're working, let's work together, okay? So we're on the 5-inch side. This is my 5 right here. So I'm going to score at 3/8, 1 1/8. Oh, sorry, doesn't want to focus on that. 3 7/8, 4 5/8. So I will go over that once again because I know the camera doesn't like to focus on those numbers sometimes. So first, 3/8, 1 1/8, 3 7/8, 4 5/8. There's your 4 numbers there. Now we need to turn this so that we are on the 7 1/4 side. So the page should be lined up to 7 1/4 right here. And we have quite a few score lines here. So we're going to start at 2 1/4. We're going to 4 1/2, 5 1/4, 6, 6 3/4. Okay, that's a lot. I know it's a lot. So let's repeat that one. 2 1/4, 4 1/2, 5 1/4, 6, 6 3/4. That is all the scoring we need to do, but now we have a whole lot of cutting. Okay, so I always like to start with burnishing all my edges and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to fold all my pieces so they're all going the same way. Okay, so I like to fold inwards because we're making a box. That's probably the most logical way to do this. Okay, so I've done all those. Now we'll do all these large ones. Everything gets scored, okay? So I know I'm twisting and turning about, but basically every single line that we have just created is going to be folded. All right, now we have a little bit of fun work here because I want to try and walk you through what is getting trimmed and what we're saving here, okay? So I think perhaps the easiest way to do this is to turn it so that the long side is kind of facing you. You've got these two large sections up in the top, and then you have the four ones down here in the bottom. So if you can imagine with me, let's just bring this back here. These four little lines, those are folding up, and that's going to create our little box, okay? These two, before we make the box, we'll end up folding this downwards so that you've got a nice sturdy background, okay? But you're noticing this is way too wide. We don't need those. So let's open this back up. We're going to go step by step together and figure out what needs to go and what needs to stay. So I tried to make you a beautiful artistic work here so that hopefully you can kind of follow along with me. So let's start at the top. We've got this large section here, and then you've got two smaller sides, okay? We are not going to use either of those sides. Same with the opposite side. Not going to use, not going to use. So we'll end up cutting those off. But let's do the same thing to this bottom section because it's going to be identical. Cutting these ones off. Okay? So the cheater's version right now, we'll take a moment and do a cutting, is to just cut this entire foursome out in one shot. So I'm going to gently cut across my nice scored line here till I hit that edge, and then I'm going to, extra paper, and then I'm going to cut down this score line all the way because we didn't need any of those four pieces, so we're getting rid of them all at once, okay? So, four disappeared. What we've done to one side, now we're going to do the identical thing to the opposite side, okay? So once again, cutting out those four lines that we've kind of squiggled in. So, there. So this is what we should be left with at the moment. These guys are now garbage. If you hadn't scribbled on them, maybe you could use them for something. We're going to go a little slower again. So we've now got four boxes left. Three of them are the same size. And you can see this one's a little skinnier, this bottom row here, okay? So on the bottom part, we do not need this little box or this edge little box. Same with the opposite side. Don't need those guys, okay? While you're cutting, you can also cut out the top little box. Skip this one because we need it. And number 3, little box. We're keeping these squares here, okay? But we're cutting out tiny rectangles. Same with the other side. Tiny rectangle, tiny rectangle. I'm going to just pause here for a second so you can hopefully add the scribbles to your drawing. When you do this again, maybe make yourself one of these kind of things because it will be quite easy then for you to follow along and to know what to cut and what not to cut. But I'm going very slow in hopes that we don't make a mistake this time. Okay, so let's cut out those little sections. Some of them you'll be able to cut together, like these bottom pieces. Might as well just get those done. This one goes up. And cut out this little guy too. So you should be left with something weird that looks like this, kind of like a Tetris game. And we're doing the exact same thing to the opposite side here. Always cutting on those scored lines. Okay, here's our fun little Tetris piece for the moment. Okay, now we're going to use these remaining side pieces to make the little panels for our box to close, okay? So I'd like you to turn this so that you have one of these sets facing you. We're going to do the same on the opposite side, so it doesn't matter what you're starting with. But do you see these 1 score mark, 2 score marks that are on opposite sides of our fun little kind of jutted out piece? Just cut right up that little score mark so that that square is loose. We want this square loose, and we want the left-hand side square loose. Okay, so now these are all loose panels that we can play with. And because squares never fold very nicely together on those squares, we're gonna just take off a tiny little bit of an edge. So you see I've cut just from kind of 1/8 of an inch in down to the corner, and that will give me this little triangle piece that you throw away, and it ends up folding quite nicely as a little tab. Okay, so we've turned our square into something that has a little triangle jut out. Do that to this one too. Couple triangles taken off the sides. So these two are the side panels, or the side little flaps. This one's going to be what closes the box up. So again, that triangle is kind of the perfect way to tuck things. So we're not doing anything with the large square. We're only trimming in this little rectangle. Okay, so from tiny little trim to the bottom corner here, that's all we're cutting. We're not touching this square. It's staying whole. We've cut one side with a tiny square and the other with something that's going to fly with that tiny square. So just triangle flaps here. Now let's turn around and do the same thing. So we're going to separate these pieces. So the square is loose, the left square is loose. We need to angle cut to make these nice foldable tags. So just little triangles coming off of those sides, left and on the right. Go. And we don't want this to be a blunt rectangle anymore. So we're just taking off a tiny little bit, like so. Okay, so this is what you should have at the moment. Now, there's a lot of cutting, but it'll be a little easier from here. Okay, so you can use double-sided tape, seal, or glue to put this box together. I'm going to choose the double-sided tape. Glue is really a preference for me for boxes, but it takes a while to dry. And I want to be able to kind of play and show you what I'm doing, so I don't have the time to let something sit here and dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover large square, technically it's a rectangle, number 1 with adhesive, okay? So make sure you put adhesive kind of all the way around the perimeter of this one, because we do need it to be quite secure. We put adhesive all the way around the perimeter. Before I take the backing off, I'll just tell you, it will be getting pressed downward and pressed into place so that we have that double wide backing. Now, if you're somebody who's a little worried that maybe the box will touch, you haven't cut this exactly, this would be a good moment to grab your trimmer and just to trim the tiniest little bit off your edge. You don't have to if you think you've cut well, but I'll just show you. If you think, okay, maybe my box isn't going to fold perfectly, just trim a little bit off the edge. Nobody's going to see later if it's short. And then you're ready to go. You can take off your adhesive. Oh, there we go. And press this down. We want a nice solid seal there. So we're going to press that down really, really well. Okay. And just a reminder, that is going to be this backing part here. Okay. Next, we need to create our box. So let's use our imaginations and figure out that, like, okay, if we fold this up into a little box so it sits on the front, this is how it would look. The easiest way to get a nice flat box for you is, is to lay this on your desk so you have 3 of these rectangles showing. So we've got the one with the flaps and the tuck-in tag on the bottom. We've got one with flaps, and we've got this loose little piece that we had cut off all the edges from. That's what you want to see at the moment. And we're going to put a nice amount of adhesive. Again, glue would be great. I'm going to do 2 rolls of my tape, just so I'm covering this whole flap. There we go. Okay, so confirm that you've only got 3 of these showing, including the one you just put tape on. Leave this flat on the desk and just tuck this panel behind. Press down really, really well. And this is confirming now that everything is nice and straight for you. You can pop it up and just make sure that, oh yes, that's great, but put it back in that formation, because these are the pieces now that we're going to decorate. The one on the bottom here that's not showing, we don't need a piece of designer paper on it, but we do want to decorate this one in the back and these 2 in the front. So let me move this so you can kind of see what I've done there. Okay, so piece of designer paper number 1. You only need 1 of these. This one is going to measure 1 3/8 by 2 5/8. 1 3/8 by 2 5/8. And that's going to get attached right in this little space at the top. So there should be a bit of a pretty peacock border, but not too much. And you can put that on with whatever adhesive you'd like. We've got flowers. Make sure they're facing the right way. Would make you sad. Oh, and then we need 2 pieces. I'm using the Fresh as a Daisy designer paper, but you can use anything you like. Need 2 pieces that are identical. These are going to be 5/8 of an inch by 2 5/8. So 5/8 of an inch by 2 5/8. Putting a little adhesive on the back of those. And they can get attached to those 2 panels. Doesn't leave you much of a gap for your paper border, just so you know, but It's okay. There we go. Okay, so now before we fill it, I added this adorable little decal here. So what I did is I cut out our, not the smallest, the second smallest of the stylish shaped circles. And I stamped a sentiment from the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. So I picked Your Friendship Means Everything. Again, if you don't own this one, we have lots of little sentiments that would fit on a decal like this. You could have used lots of other different papers too. And you're going to just grab a pretty Peacock ink and put your sentiment in the middle here. It will just fit, so this is going to be fun because we're, you know, a foot in front of me. There we go. And you can pop this little decal up on dimensionals to put it onto this empty space. And I really wanted to decorate even a little bit more, so I found these solid adhesive back gems that complemented this daisy suite. They come in Lemon Lolly, Boho Blue, and look, I only have 2 left, but these are the copper clay. And so I just decided I wanted to add a few of those to my tag. So I grabbed one large one medium one, and one small one. And those can get added to the top here. So once you are happy, then we can go about building our box. Okay, so pop it up. You might want to grab your bone folder and give it a nice crisp pop so it folds well. And just remember, we don't actually need both of these open. So what you can do is you can actually glue one of these sides completely closed. So all I did was I folded over the 2 tabs, and I'm going to put a little bit of a glue dot right on that last tab there. And I'm going to close this side up because in all reality, we don't need a box that opens from 2 sides. This little end will tuck in. Trim a tiny bit more. Yes, I do. Okay, I didn't trim enough here, and that's fine. So just trim a slight bit more so my tag can tuck. There we go. That's better. Much nicer. Okay, and then I want to make sure this is secure. So I'm just going to stand it up on my desk, and I'm going to take a pen or something small that will fit in here and up against the desk and the paper. So I make sure my glue dot is now nice and snug. So this side is completely closed. Probably because I'm right-handed, I should have closed the other one, but that's okay. We're going to close up the opposite side now after adding in your little chapstick. And this one we're not putting a glue dot on because we want somebody to be able to get it out, right? So if they start this one, they're like, oh, they could force it and get it. But here's your little box. Easy peasy. Somebody can just open it up, pop out the lip chap. They can keep this, or they can use it again for somebody else, you know, pick their own favorite lip smackers flavor and pass it along. So there we go. Where were these boxes when I was a kid? Lip smackers was so popular. I needed every flavor all the time. Oh, there we go. It's a bit extra. Okay, so there you go. Hopefully a fun little box. Maybe if you're somebody who does a 12 days of Christmas something, or actually I have one friend who she mentioned it's her daughter's 18th birthday and she wanted to do 18 days of gifts for her. So I'm going to be sending this link directly to her because I think it would be a perfect little addition to her gifts collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel so that you get all the notifications of when I go live. And if you're in Canada and you need a demonstrator, I would love to help you out. So you can either send me a message and I'll get you catalogs or any information you need, or I have my website, laurenurbonis.stampinup.net, listed at the bottom of the page. You can shop 24/7 and have everything shipped to your house. Do keep in mind September 6th is when our new holiday catalog, I'll show it to you. Can't open it, but this is when our new holiday catalog goes live. So if you don't have a copy or a demonstrator, let me know and I will mail you one, or you can check everything out online. There will also be some exclusive online products that will be announced on September 6th as well that you can only get in the online store. So love to hear from you guys if you have questions or things you want to see. And I hope to see you again next Tuesday at noon for Show Me How It's Done. Bye.